I thought I'd start 2021 with a positive film with a good outlook and just a wholesome nature. I'm talking about Paddington today. Join me after the intro to hear my thoughts on this film. Hi, my name's Stu. Welcome to another review video on my channel. As mentioned, I'm talking about the bear Paddington and the first film that came out. I haven't seen the second one. I watched the first one yesterday. Straight off the bat, I am not familiar with the books, so I can't really make a comparison between them, or I think there's a TV series as well, and this film. So for that, I apologise if that's what you're looking for. So I went into this film completely unprepared, didn't know anything about the character or what he's generally about. The film, I must say, is a very good one. I enjoyed it a lot. It even kept my 5-month-old daughter happy and staring at the screen, so obviously the action was interesting enough for her for about 20 minutes or so. To give you a brief overview what it's about, Paddington is a bear who lives in the darkest Peru, so he lives in the rainforest basically, with his uncle and his aunt, and unfortunately due to an accident his uncle passes away and he then moves to London because it's always been their lifelong dream, I mean of the uncle and the aunt, to move to London because decades ago, I believe they say it's about 40 years ago, a British explorer came and visited them and noticed that these are unusual bears. They are able to interact intelligently and they can even learn speech. And so he said to them if they ever come to London, they should come visit him. This is what Paddington does. His aunt does not join him on the journey because she's too old and frail for it, but she sends him off on his own, and that is basically what this is about. He is looking for a home in London. Every good story needs an antagonist. In this case, you have a taxidermist who is played by Nicole Kidman, and she wants to have Paddington as an exhibit in the National History Museum. That sums up the story quite well, I believe. It's a very simple, straightforward matter. The film is only 95 minutes long, but it's really well edited, I must say. That's one of the things I picked up on. I was amazed when I thought about it only being 95 minutes, because there's a lot that happens in this film, but it's not bloated, it's not overcomplicated. It's just that they obviously made very conscious decisions about what they want to have in the film. Is every scene necessary? What should we show? What needs to be shown? Dialogue, etc. It all really serves a purpose. It shows you stuff about the characters, it advances the plot, and in that way the film is very, very efficient. I'm not quite sure whether this is a good thing or not for kids, whether they're able to follow everything that's going on. Then on the other hand, I suppose kids aren't really too fussed about being able to follow along. The character of Paddington is one that I feel you can't dislike, really. What I love about him is it's a very naive character, so he has got this image of London that he's learned over years. His aunt and his uncle, they had, I think, films, books, etc, etc, so they learned all this about British society, English, specifically London society, and they have this image of this polite people. And when Paddington does arrive in London finally, he's greeted by, well, rush hour London, the trains, people pushing past him, no one is saying hello, all these things. And what I like about Paddington is, despite all these setbacks, because he's very clumsy and obviously he doesn't understand many things about the world, on top of everything else he is a bear, of course, not to forget that. It's something that very many people in the film don't really react to much. I'll talk about that later. But there are many things he doesn't know, and yet he still holds on to this positive outlook, always tries to be polite, and always tries to do the right thing, which I really like about him. So his characterization is great. I think it's a great role model for kids as well. Obviously this film is targeted at them. He is played by Ben Whishaw in the film. Paddington is a CGI character, although I read that they used animatronics as well, which I found quite interesting. But generally speaking, on the screen what you see is CGI, and I think the voice is very good. He portrays what I just explained, the naivete and this positive outlook. I think he portrays that very well. Interestingly, I read that Colin Firth actually portrayed him during principal photography. It's only later on they decided that they want somebody else for the role and switched out. I mean, with a CGI character, that's obviously very easy to do. But I feel that, I'm not sure what Colin Firth did with the role, but Ben Whishaw I feel is a very solid choice for Paddington. The one other standout person I would name from the film is Sally Hawkins. She plays the family's mother. The family helps Paddington, the Browns, and she plays Mrs. Brown. And she is quite great. I feel that I've only seen her, I believe, in The Shape of Water, where she does an excellent job as well. Seems these kind of things, these fish out of water stories are kind of her thing. But she does a great job portraying this caring mother who encourages the children and everyone else to be and explore their individualism. Be individual, explore their individualism. And she really supports Paddington while Mr. Brown wants to get rid of him, basically. But those two, I would say, are the quite standout characters, standout actors in this film. I already mentioned you've got Nicole Kidman as well. She is very, very cartoonish. Her portrayal was fine. It was just the character to me was just too cartoonish. It really felt quite a bit silly at times. And one other person I would mention is Peter Capaldi. He plays the neighbour of the Browns, and he is is a very weird character. He likes to meddle in things. He's this stereotypical neighbour who, you know, looks down from the window and spies on people and complains about stuff and that. But he's actually, it turns out in the film, and you do see, he's a bit more complex than that, but I'm sure Peter Capaldi had a lot of fun playing him. Talking about the other characters, I've already explained and addressed Paddington. The family to me feels a bit cliched. You've got the father who has sort of lost his adventurous side. He's become very boring and very correct and all these things. And the mother, okay, the mother wasn't really stereotypical, I will say that. She is quite interesting, I'll call it. The kids though, the boy basically gets into trouble a lot while the sister, she is a swot in school, and at times it was a bit cliched, so I'm not quite sure why. They spent so much time really working on these characters, even in such a short film. I feel they could have just made it a bit less predictable, I'll call it. As mentioned, Paddington is a CGI creature in this film. The CGI is fine, I suppose. Generally speaking, I didn't mind it. I like the design of him. It's just the fur sometimes doesn't look like it's really natural. Just the way it, I'll call it, flows or hangs down. That didn't really seem correct to me, but generally the design, I like it quite a lot. And the execution of it was flawless, so there was no uncanny valley or any of these things going on. And as I already said, animatronics were also used. Not sure how, I'd have to look that up, but the end product is definitely great. I'd really enjoy that. This is probably a very grown-up thing to say or think about, but one of the things that I just thought were really weird about this film was, you have a bear, he talks, and this is obviously a world where this is a strange thing, like our world. But this is something that nobody is really too freaked out about. Everyone is like, he's a bear, oh, okay. And that's it. No one finds it weird that this bear can talk, it's all fine. You've got people ignoring him on the street. If a bear talked to me, I'd probably jump out of my shoes or something, I don't know. I would be highly fascinated in the very least. So that I don't really get. Maybe it's explained in the books a bit more, but I just thought that I mean, yes, it's a short film, it's a kid's film, blah, 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 but that was just so weird to me. That just so little interest was in the fact that you've got a bear who can talk. I don't know, I just don't get that part, so I feel that they should have just I think it would have been more appropriate because, again, it is a strange thing in the world, so I feel that they should have had more reactions in that way towards Paddington. All in all, it's a very wholesome story. I enjoyed it a lot. It felt like a Christmassy film, just with the not happening at Christmas per se, although there is a bit towards the end where they are actually at Christmas. You can at least see a Christmas tree. Still, that probably would have been ideal if they had made it a Christmas film in addition to all the rest, and I suppose it would come very close to the ideal Christmas film for kids. Despite me recently have talked about the Christmas Chronicles, which if you haven't seen it, you can click the link up here to watch. Also a very good film, also very wholesome. The first one, not the second one. Second one as well a bit, okay, fine. I would recommend that you watch it with kids if you have them, but even without, it's a very, very fun adventure. I enjoyed it a lot. And before closing out, I'll start a new section whenever it pops up called Just Strewing Things. You might have noticed this very, very peculiar t-shirt that I'm wearing. Full disclosure, I'm not a David Hasselhoff fan. A friend I know from school has got a band and they did a song with David Hasselhoff, which I thought it actually turned out quite incredible. If you want to see David Hasselhoff doing heavy metal, click a link up here to see that. And whenever I have other strange and peculiar things that only I maybe find interesting, I'll make sure to tell you as well. So from now on, we'll have a section called Just Strewing Things. I'll thank you for watching this review. Let me know in the comments down below if you've seen the film, if you've seen the second one without spoiling it. Tell me if that holds up to the first one. Is it maybe even better? Leave all your comments down below. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel for future review videos or drone videos if you enjoy them. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.